Well, so I did say to Will, you need to be critical, and boy was he critical. But the point of it is that you show your work to someone. Anyone who works in the arts, in any stream, painting, music, writing, sometime or other you've got to expose it, or otherwise it's kind of just an internal thing. And Will, you were the first person to see that set of words, and you rightly said the things that were improvable. And so I was releasing information early that could have been held back to build the tension. I had long chapters that needed breaking up and all sorts of things. So your help was very well received there. Can I just ask, this is the third book and the third launch at Middlesex. Has anyone actually been to all three of them? Okay, do you guys also go to lots of weddings and funerals?
Came from a funeral today.
Well, thank you for your support and enthusiasm. What I'd like to say in my defence is that I have been a long-term runner in all sorts of different ways, and I have been a trail runner and a marathon runner. And what this book has got that's different to the other two books is much more mainstream athletics. Okay, so I've addressed the history of trail running, I've addressed the history of the Bob Graham Round. This book, although it's got a very strong trail running element, is also encompassing cross-country and track and road. So, for instance, Kenny Stewart, one of the main characters I've written about, came off the fells and did a 2:11 marathon. Okay, and this was in 1986. At that time, it was one of the fastest marathons that English runners were churning out. He was going to go on and become faster. He had issues with his health that actually stopped that. So he was a very good. He won the county championships as a cross-country runner several times. He also had a career as a professional runner in his early days. John Wilde, who's meant to be here, I'm just kind of hoping he'll walk through the door sometime very shortly, was an even more varied runner. So he is the only person that I know of that's represented his country in the disciplines of trail running, cross-country, track and road. Okay, so he was in the he won the inter-counties cross-country twice. He won, he represented the UK, or whatever it would have been at the time, at steeplechase in the Commonwealth Games. Was in the final of the Commonwealth Games at steeplechase, so he was a brilliant track runner. He represented his country. The trail running was starting to go international in the 80s when he was at his peak. He represented the country at trail running. He also represented the country on the road. He was a half marathon representative. So he's, as far as I'm aware, is unique in being able to do all those four disciplines and represent the country. So what I've done is there's two very strong, different characters in this book, and they are from different backgrounds. John Wilde was a RAF officer from a very non-northern background. He was brought up in the Midlands. He didn't live near the fells, but he managed to train himself up to be a brilliant fell runner. He went through the cross-country, the track, and then moved to the fells later on. Kenny Stewart, the other main character, born in Threlkeld near Keswick, Cumbrian born, Cumbrian bred, went straight from the school days to running professionally. And he was just a straight up and down Cumbrian guy, but he went to the fells and was the top man for a while. Moved from the professional, there's a whole story about the professional and amateur divide. And then they in the 1983 season, they were the two top runners, and the kind of the central core of the story is that season. Okay? So it was the same time, if you're familiar with your athletic history, that Coe and Overt were the two main guys in track athletics in the world, setting world records every other week. Okay, in the fell running season in 1983, which is the core of the book, there were 15 championship races. To win the fell running championship, you had to run pretty well all of those 15 races. So they, in theory, were going to run against each other 15 times in that season. One of the interesting stats I came across in researching the book is that in their whole careers, all of their careers together, which overlapped, Coe and Overt competed against each other 6 times only in their whole career, and 4 of them were Olympic Games. They just ducked each other. There was all sorts of shenanigans going on, if you remember at the time. In fell running, if you wanted to be the best, you couldn't afford to do that. And these guys very much got together and bashed each other, and that's why it's running on. They were hard trainers, hard racers, they're also hard socialisers. So some of the backstory in the book is about some of the incidents and anecdotes. And there's a fabulous one that goes on for quite a bit about what happened when someone decided they'd have a naked relay in Fort William after the Ben Nevis race, which was going very well until the boys in blue turned up, and there's some quite amusing versions of what happened there. But also it illustrates the friendly nature of fell running. So when John Wilde was moving from the track and the cross country to the fells, he needed to know how the races worked. And people like Joss Naylor, you may have heard of, and Billy Bland would go and show them the races. That's just how it worked. Kenny would go and show them a race. And that was all part of it. There's another interesting story about going on an international race, going to a hotel. You get a hotel key card nowadays. This was way before its time, a hotel key card. Went out for a run, put the key card down his shorts, one of the runners, and had to go back, tell his wife that he'd got an injury in that area, which was caused by his hotel key, which he had a bit of trouble getting away with. So there's a whole load of stories about post-race activities. There's also, although I was a bit careful about how I said these things, some stories about the brown envelope suitcases of money era, which was going on in that time before or whilst Andy Norman was involved in the sport. And there was payments to turn up to races that would be made in quiet rooms in hotels that you had to then either hide or declare and go through the trust fund route. And there's a whole row of stories about the epic races and other things that were going on. So what I'd like to do is just read you a small bit. The other launches I've not read from the book. I'm going to read a small bit from the book just to give you a flavour of what happens. Unfortunately I'm not going to stand here with a book in front of me because I can't see those words if I do that. This is an age thing, so I've got the printout of a bit. So in 1982, okay, so Kenny Stewart was moving from the professional ranks to the amateurs, and he met John Wilde for the first time in the season before the big season in the middle of the book. It was a championship race. It was the first time they'd met. So this is a little bit of background to that situation. The next championship race, the short, steep Burnsall race, was notable for two reasons. It was a centenary race with 16 previous winners invited back, 9 of whom competed. Equally importantly, it was the first time Wilde and Stewart raced each other, and what a race it was. Wilde commented that the situation in pro and amateur races was all too silly. This is John Wilde speaking. I think I won more money in a race abroad than he, Kenny, did in his whole professional career. So there's a whole myth about this professionalism, which actually professional thoroughly made him no money whatsoever. It was just a week before the Burnsall race that Stewart was informed that his application for reinstatement had been approved. It was reported there was a bad vibe about Kenny as he prepared to move to the amateur code. He says, Kenny says, to be honest, it was reported like that, but I don't remember hearing many comments at the time. It was tittle-tattle in the background. Looking back now, I just can't understand what it was all about. This thing about professionals earning loads of money is rubbish. So in the process of this book research, I interviewed people like Joss Naylor and Billy Bland and other people like that, and that was sort of the most fascinating thing, hearing the other people's versions of all this stuff that was going on, not just the two main voices. So Joss Naylor tells me, he felt it was a good thing for the sport when Kenny got his amateur status. I knew Chris Brayshaw fought hard to get it sorted out. It was just at that awkward time when the changeover was going through and lots of these old boys in London were a bit outdated. And Joss recalls there were one or two people who were not happy. I thought here were some great people who were putting the work in to run professional or amateur. It would only help our sport along if they combined. There was no animosity as far as I was concerned. And Billy Bland said, I can't particularly remember bad vibes. I think there might have been an attitude of some of the older people who have been pros. The star man, which Kenny was in the professional firmament, was leaving them. But the first and second man in that race were clearly the best, which were John and Kenny. There's no need to overplay the situation. They were not competing for the crown jewels, were they? Says Billy Bland. So on the day, the weather was grim, clouds on the tops, and drizzle making the descent slippery. Wilde took a decisive lead on the steep part of the ascent, having a handful of seconds on Stewart at the turn, and extending it on the descent to win by 33 seconds. Stewart had been reinstated as an amateur, and was reckoned by some to have lost some fitness in the waiting period. Kenny counters, I hadn't lost any fitness, I'd lost a bit of race experience and a bit of race fitness. And to be honest, on Burnsall, which is the race that they're at, I would have been at my very best to beat John on a course like that. He was brilliant. And that's quite a good theme that goes through the book, is they had a lot of respect for each other. They were trying to beat each other, but they had a lot of respect for each other's performances. So Stewart had chased hard, but he said at the time there was no chance of me catching him. Reflecting back now, John Wilde comments, he had taken to Kenny, he had taken to Kenny straight away and couldn't understand the hostility he was getting. His wife even heard a group of runners discussing Kenny the professional, and I berated them for making stupid comments. Stewart was even heckled as he collected his second place prize, which was a silver tray, at the presentation afterwards. So that was the build to the change from professional to amateur. It's the movement of Kenny into that field. It's the acceptance from some but not from others that goes on. So this is before the big season, and they came back to race each other for the championship. John Wilde won the championship in 1981 on the Fells. He won the championship in 1982 on the Fells. When Kenny was then in full swing for the next season, they were head to head. And so that's the core of what the book is about. I'm just going to pause there because I'm going to say, if anyone wants to ask any questions at some point or later on, please do feel to try and ask me something. I will try to answer them. I can't promise that I will. In Keswick at the weekend, when Kenny and John were sitting in the front row and there were questions, it was very easy to just say, what do you think of that one, Kenny? Or what do you think of that one, John? But I might have to deal with these myself.